Well, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Libraries and Weight Rooms podcast. My name is DJ Ligori, and we have a special Rochester, New York guest today. All right, even though we might have moved to Tampa a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, we're going to go back home for this guest. I want to welcome Zay Meaux to the podcast today. Welcome, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And Zay, feel like this is a long time coming. I feel like we've talked a lot about this when we see each other. It's like, dude, we got to jump on a podcast together. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I've always wanted to just be on a podcast. I watch a lot of them, so I
Awesome.
just think they're interesting.
Yeah, I would agree as well. I think we can learn a lot. I think it's a new way to learn in this day and age, right? Podcasts and courses and things like that. So nonetheless, you're a member of LA Fitness, right? You're not a CrossFit guy.
No, not a CrossFit guy. Just lifting the weights and trying to get stronger and build this physique to
Yes.
its potential. So
Nice. I like that. And when I asked you about mental fitness, you mentioned it was your ability to manage your emotions and not let your actions be controlled by them, which I
yeah,
like that idea, which is hard.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And I just think it's also like it's your ability to do that, but also your ability to maintain a state of well-being. Not
Mhm.
letting outside forces affect what's going on the inside. You
Yeah.
know.
hmm Yeah. Then that takes a lot of control. That takes a lot of mental fitness, without a doubt.
Yes.
So, all right. So, Zay, where I want to start today is you recently, recently, right, within like a couple of years or so, kind of got more involved with fitness, right, in the
Mhm.
fitness world and in your public perception of it. So, I'm curious as to kind of why did you decide to go down that path? How did it happen? And how has it kind of gotten you to where you are today?
Yeah, that's a great question, DJ. And fitness is something that I played a lot of sports. Let's start there. I played a lot of
Mhm.
sports growing up. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, track, you name it. I've tried them all. Basketball being my favorite, of course. But along with that, a lot of it was training.
Mhm.
And when I was younger, we had our trainers that would come in and help us lift weights and learn how to do that. And that's something that I've just been doing since I was younger, but I've never really had my own program or really knew what I was doing outside of working with trainers. So
Mhm.
when I came to college and when I stopped playing basketball, I didn't really have like a program put together. I kind of just show up to the gym and
Mhm.
pick a specific muscle group to work out and look up YouTube videos, but I never really had like a program that would like optimize, my goal was, which is to
Mhm.
build muscle, and
Mhm.
build my physique. So fitness, it's really just been something I've always been into, but more recently, working full-time job, trying to balance life and fun and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I felt like I needed to put together some type of program where I don't really have to think about it. And that's where I got a little bit more serious into fitness.
Mhm.
And I know it helps me a lot, not only physically, but mentally. I think a big part of why people are consistent in the gym, it's not just because they want to look better, but they
Mhm.
want to feel better. And that's part of what I want to do. And by doing that, I want to get to the point where I can actually help other people get in the gym and follow some type of program that's best fit for them,
Mhm.
so that they can not only look good but feel good in
Mhm.
life and just in general.
Yeah.
Why I
And
got into
so, yeah, and so then at that point you started kind of like publicly presenting yourself more in the
it.
fitness realm, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now was there any fear involved with that? Like when you decided to kind of step into that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. There's a lot of fear. So I follow like there's people online that post a lot of content,
Mhm.
and they're not ashamed to do it. When I was thinking about doing it here before I bought my first tripod or anything, the gym that I go to, LA Fitness, just right down the road, nobody is filming themselves. So
Yeah.
like I was just like my thought was like, dude, I'm gonna be that one kid that everybody knows in the gym as the tripod kid. Um, but I have, there's a dream of me growing, being more of an
Mhm.
influencer in the fitness space. So I kind of just was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna buy this tripod and try it. And if somebody comes up to me and says something negative, I'm just gonna be like, just worry about yourself. We
Yeah.
we go to the gym. People have, they think people are looking at them, and they
Mhm.
might be, but that's just human nature. People are gonna look at you. People are gonna judge you. And so my thought was like, I know people are gonna like this, and some people aren't.
Hmm.
But I'm not going to let what people think about me stop me from doing what I want to do.
Hmm.
It's my
Yeah.
life. I'm going to control what I can. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like it comes to a point where my vision and my goals become more important than their judgment of me.
Yes.
Right. And that value or that pull is what we lean on. And when somebody does come up and say, hey, what the hell are you doing? It's like, like it doesn't even matter what I'm doing, bro. Like I got shit to do, right? I have a vision here. I have a goal. You can, do your thing. I'll do my thing. Right. And that's cool. And I think too, I think life rewards people who are willing to do that. Right. I think life rewards people who are willing to take that risk or to put themselves open to judgment, right?
Yep.
I don't know if you've had this ever happen, but I just recently had this happen actually on a YouTube video that I put out. Some person left like such a nasty comment on it. And I commented back and I kind of like made fun of myself in the comment to kind of like diffuse what they were saying.
Yep.
Yet it just made me think, I'm like, why do we have to hate so hard on people who are actively trying to create something or bring value to the world? Right?
I
Like,
and I
like
think a lot of that when people are, do that type of thing, they gotta go look in the mirror because maybe there's some things that they don't like about themselves that make them act that way.
mm. Tell me more about that because I could talk about that for hours.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess, when I was younger, I guess I didn't really see this in people because I didn't read people as well. But I feel
Mm,
like a lot of times when people are negative to other people, there's something that either happened in their past that
mhm.
they still haven't gotten over, or they're insecure about something and they lash out instead of, looking inward to
Yeah.
kind of fix it.
Hmm.
That's just how I feel. And I mean, I can't believe that's happened to you. I've actually never, surprisingly, it was my biggest fear that something negative would happen. But so far, knock on wood, I haven't really received any negativity in
Hmm.
person or through social media. A
Hmm.
lot of it's just been more like, oh, do you have a fitness page? Like people at the gym, like they see me with the tripod, they just have
Hmm.
questions. Or I remember a younger kid came out to me. He's like, you're doing a fitness page? Is that what you're doing? I'm like, yeah. He goes, tell me more about it because I'm looking to get into it. And I just, encourage him to, just start making content. It's not
Hmm.
going to look perfect at first, but just posting it and holding yourself accountable through social media,
Hmm.
and just learning how you can, better angles. Maybe people will tell you that you don't have great form. Maybe you can use that to fix your form.
Hmm.
I think when I first started doing it, I still, I'm still not a professional, but like
Hmm.
my form for some of my workouts wasn't perfect, and people would message me instead of commenting on the video, say, "Hey,
Hmm.
lock your elbows in a little bit more." And then I just took the advice because I don't know anything and I'm willing to learn from other people. But yeah.
Wow, that's an awesome segue into us realizing that we're not going to always have the answers.
Mhm.
Somebody commenting on a picture and saying, "Hey, lock in the elbows, right? Squeeze this," instead of, "Wow, I can't believe you're even putting any effort into this thing."
Yeah.
Right? Like I think that's such a cool way to shift um our own vulnerability and our own ego, where it's like, no, this is just the thing that I'm trying. And along the way, I'm going to learn things that also help me, right? I don't know everything right now, and that's okay. And I'm willing to accept the things that I don't know and then learn from them to get better moving forward.
Hmm.
Right. So that's an awesome example. And so I want to shift real quick into something interesting here. And for everybody listening, Zay did something really cool in his application to be on the podcast today. Instead of just putting some comments in the additional comments section, he actually asked me questions. And first off, Zay, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for that. I think that's really cool that you actually took the time to think into that on a deeper level. Um, and so I think what I want to do now is I want to actually both of us to answer those questions because as I was going through them, I'm like, you know what? These are some valuable questions, right? These are questions that we could use in the gym. These are questions that we could use out of the gym. And I think just us kind of walking through both of these could be valuable. So the first thing you asked me was, what are the things that I do when I feel down? So I want to ask you that question first, and then I'll answer it. So what do you do when you feel down?
Go to the gym. No, but like, well, I mean, that's a serious note. But on a more serious note, I just know I had the perspective that I understand that life's not always going to be, sunshine and rainbows.
Mhm.
It's not always going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of things that, you know, challenge you or, bring you down, even whether it's people or an event or something.
Mhm.
But life's all about the highs and lows, and you can't get to a higher high without experiencing a low. I feel like
Mhm.
some of the most successful people in the world, they've had some very, very low experience, or they were brought up in a very low situation, and that's the reason they've been able to get to where they're at today. Is because they they've been in a spot where they felt hopeless, but
Mhm.
they just kept going, and then they finally
Mhm.
got to a spot where things are completely different than what they were years ago.
Mhm.
And obviously things take time to see. Like you can even see talking about fitness, like you're not going
Mhm.
to see progress overnight. That's why I always encourage people to take photos every week or every month. But it's just, knowing that even when you're feeling low, just to have faith
Mhm.
and just believe that it's not always going to be like that is what's going to keep you going. And that's how I see things when I'm in that sort of feeling.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like there's a longevity to it where right now is not necessarily forever.
Yeah.
And even though I'm feeling down right now, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to feel down in 3 hours from now, right?
Hmm.
Or a week from now. And I think to this question, and I'm curious if you ever think about this too, because when I answer this question, I've had actually a couple days ago, I had somebody ask me something similar to this. And I answered the question in kind of a weird way. And I want to answer this question in that same way. And whenever I'm like down or I'm feeling stressed, one of the things that I do is I go to the nearest window. And if I'm outside, I can just look up and I actually look up at the sky and I realize that I'm literally floating through space on a rock. And it like completely changes this idea of my problems are these big problems when really, yeah, I'm a human being and I have emotions and I can do things to manage those emotions and get through this hard thing. Yet at the end of the day, like we're all going to die at one point. And
Yeah.
and
Such,
and life's going to keep going, right? And we're probably going to be forgotten on a long enough time horizon. And those problems that I worked myself all up about are probably never ever going to even be irrelevant ever again,
yeah.
right? And it changes the seriousness that we apply, that at least I apply to a challenge where it's like, all right, this thing isn't that great right now. Cool. It's like, doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to be great tomorrow or the next day or a month from now. And that's where I think that longevity and that consistency is so important. And that's actually something I would love to kind of get your thoughts on. What do you do to maintain consistency when it comes to your fitness career?
Wow, it's a great question. And I like how you just answered that. I feel like a lot of these questions that you're asking me, for me, it's all about perspective. And
Mhm.
it's not word for word, but I put a quote on my story on my fitness Instagram the other day. It's like you create your own reality.
Mhm.
And that goes back to one of the first questions, like not letting things affect how you think about things or how you feel about things.
Mhm.
How I stay consistent is
I like
it's
that.
because of a perspective that I have on life in general. Like everybody's, you know, what's the word? What's the thing I'm looking for? Everybody's dealt a different deck of cards, and
Mhm.
you just got to understand that the opportunities that you're getting, somebody else wish they could have, and vice versa. So
Mhm.
how I stay consistent and motivated is like, I don't want to lose out on opportunity. I don't want to miss the gym because somebody else is going to the gym.
Mhm.
And that's just how I feel about life in general. But
Mhm.
um, and honestly, I feel weak if I skip. Like obviously, I have my
Yeah.
rest days. If I skip a day that I'm supposed to go,
Mhm.
I almost feel like I'm gonna regret it. I'm gonna regret it.
Mhm.
Even the days where I'm so tired, I didn't get enough sleep, or I've drank too much caffeine and I'm really
Mhm.
crashing. I still go because I always feel better after I go to the gym.
Mhm.
So that's part of why I stay consistent, and I don't want to live with any regret.
Mhm. Ooh, I like that at the end, right? Not necessarily living with regret, right? It's and it kind of connects nicely to what you said in the beginning of there is somebody who might make that decision to go to the gym when I don't go,
Hmm.
right? And I think that is something that we can use we can all use to stay consistent with whatever the things are that we want to be consistent with is picturing somebody else being consistent with that thing and not necessarily being able to do it like ourselves. And I don't want to say it's comparison, yet what I do want, I want to use that fear or that anger to actually keep myself consistent.
Yes.
Right. And that's where, like, we talk a lot about like emotions, and do we listen to our emotions? Do we go away from our emotions? And the way you like said it in the beginning, right? Not letting your emotions control your actions. If I'm sad that somebody else went to the gym, then an action that would probably relate to being sad is like sitting at home, whimpering, right? Being pissed off. Yet if I'm really angry that I didn't make that decision, maybe that emotion actually causes me to take an action.
Yeah.
Right. So we
Yeah.
can use the emotion in a way to actually benefit us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like that's like why I say all the time with like social media, it's like social media is just this giant neutral tool that we apply labels to left and right. Like you could see somebody, like if I went to your page, Jay, and I saw all these shredded pictures of you, and I'm like, shit, man, Zay's kicking ass right now. You know what? I got to get to the gym, right? That's a great thing that just happened there because I saw your page and it inspired me to get to the gym because I was jealous I didn't look like you, right? Or I could look at your page and be like, geez, I don't look like Zay, and go eat a donut, right? Right. And just kind of go down. So that's like what I'm a big advocate of that, of everything is neutral until we apply a label to it. And that label eventually leads to us taking an action that corresponds to that label.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're on the topic. You brought up comparison. I think
Mm-hmm.
people fall victim to comparing themselves to other people when in reality you can never be them and they can never be you. So what I
Mm-hmm.
always try to encourage people to do, and I do try to do this myself too, because I used to be a victim of comparing myself to other people,
Mm-hmm.
um, is comparing yourself to who you were yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It's every day it's you versus you. So an exercise that I did that I can't remember what podcast I was watching or who it was, but I it was on the podcast they mentioned, like, what do you imagine the best version of yourself being? And that's in every aspect of life, not just
Mm-hmm.
physically, but mentally, socially, spiritually, whatever it is. Go sit down for 5-10 minutes in a notebook or whatever and just write down what you think the best version of yourself is in detail, like, 8 pack, um not obviously can't change your height, but like super healthy diet,
Mm-hmm.
very charismatic, and even write, what you would like people to say about you that are positive.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that stuffed away somewhere, and whenever you're feeling like you don't want to do anything, read it, and it's gonna motivate you to want to go and be a better version of yourself, which is what I think everybody should try to be every day.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Zay, what you just outlined there is intentional living too. You outlined, if I don't do this, like if I don't know what I want or what I'm working towards, I'm probably just gonna do what other people kind of tell me, hey, I think you should do this.
Mhm.
And then it comes to a point where it's like, well, what about what I actually want to do? Like, what's important to me, not dependent upon other people judging me, right? Like, if you had a month to yourself where there was nobody involved in your life, like what are the things you would do that would actually bring you joy and bring you fulfillment, right? Would it be exercising? Would it be journaling? Would it be drawing, eating delicious food, doing fun things, right? When we take that time to actually describe, all right, here's what I want my life to look like. Here's what I want, how I want to behave, right? I think we then start to get drawn to those behaviors because we're actually defining what we want for once in our life,
Mhm.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that because it's a very conscious way to live. So the second thing you asked was how do you stay motivated on the days that are tough?
Yeah.
Which I mean, I think we've kind of been hitting
Yeah.
on a little bit. And one of the things too that I think is interesting to take a note of is what are your thoughts on self-forgiveness?
So what do you mean? Like, can you give me an example? Like,
So
I know
say
what you like.
So say so the reason that I ask it is I had a client ask actually ask me this question. He said, how do you he said, what happens if you don't stay consistent with one thing? He's like, I'm assuming like there's been a day where you wanted to go to the gym and like you didn't go to the gym, or you wanted to do one thing and you just somehow didn't do it. And he's like, how do you get through that slip up, right? Or that push off that path? And I said, I think I've gotten good at just kind of forgiving myself and then just
Mhm.
getting back on the path. And I just titled it self forgiveness. And I think it's something that a majority of people might struggle with a little bit. So I was just curious of your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think we are humans at the end of the day. We're not robots. So
Mhm,
obviously, we'll get accustomed to a routine that sometimes we slip out of.
mhm,
But I totally think that's okay. Sometimes you need that day to go, hang out with friends and go have fun or whatever. And on a day that you should be going to the gym, it's just that happens and you can't hold on to being upset that you didn't do what you were supposed to. Like it happens, and like you said, you have to forgive yourself
mhm,
because it's in the past and you can't change it.
mhm,
Sometimes people just have those days where they need to fall out of routine for a little bit and then just reset. So I
mhm.
honestly think it's okay, and I think you should forgive yourself when you're having those days or those
Yeah.
moments.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think too it's also a testament to this isn't about perfection. This is really about outlasting, right? This is
Hmm.
really about that longevity of, hey, can I do 2 to 3 posts a day for a year, right? Or can I work out every single day for a full year and actually have like a good workout, right?
Hmm.
Could I stop drinking for a full year? Could I stop eating sugar and this and that, right? And it's not I'm going to have 365 days in a row of complete perfection,
Yeah.
right? Or whatever your goal is. It's I'm going to string chunks of evidence together, right?
Hmm.
I'm going to do everything I can in my ability to try to get as close as I can to like the really clear goal that I want, yet life is going to be there, right? Our path from point A to point B is not this linear progression, right? It goes up, it goes down, it's a mess, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yet eventually we will get to B, right? We just don't know how long that time
Hmm.
actually is. So, yeah. So I mean, have you ever had something where you were going after a goal and some unexpected wave came and you then had to readjust to then get back on that path towards that goal?
Yeah, and I would say part of it is it's in my fitness journey as far as social media.
Mhm,
I first started, I had like, I was just doing videos of what I do on a specific muscle group day
mhm,
and then some other ideas that I have. And then at some point I got to a point where I was like, I didn't really have any ideas. Like I don't it was like I want to make content, but I want it to be good content. I don't want it
mhm,
just to keep being, me working out and me
mhm,
doing what I do on, chest day.
mhm,
So I had to like I took a step back and honestly I didn't post for like probably two almost 3 weeks because I was
mhm,
just like I was kind of just like not like depressed, just
mhm,
like didn't know where to like didn't know I couldn't come up with any ideas and it kind of
mhm,
let me down a little bit.
mhm,
But then I just kind of just got back into just making the content, just
mhm,
having videos, and then figuring out what I want to do with it after that. Maybe just doing like a short 6-second clip with a motivational quote on top of
mhm,
it, or finding some template on CapCut where I could just put in a bunch of different workouts from different days
mhm,
and just making it like a motivational thing. So it's just like it it's hard to for me I want to post every day and it's hard but you just got to make the content first, just
mhm,
have some, and then from there you can figure it out. After that you can figure it
mhm.
out. I
Yeah.
just highly encourage people to just if they're ever going to get into the content world, just make as much content as possible. You may not use it all,
Mhm,
but just have some there for the future.
mhm. Yeah, and it also does as you do more of something, you're gonna get better at it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right? If you get more reps in making content or coming up with ideas, right? It's like a muscle, right? The
Hmm.
more we work it out, the stronger it's gonna get, the better the results are. So,
Yes.
but I completely understand what you're coming from because I've actually had that exact feeling where it's like how much do people really want to hear me talking about mental fitness, right? Or how much do people want to hear me talking about hard things and how I overcame them, right? And all these things. And I a couple weeks ago, I actually kind of took a step back and I'm like, what is it that would actually be of value to somebody?
Yeah.
Right? Like what's a simple little thing that you could create where somebody reads it, watches it, listens to it, and they're like, huh, like that's kind of interesting. Right. I'm not trying to hit a home run here. I'm trying to literally just say, here's something valuable that I found in my life. Maybe it's valuable in your life. And I think only coming from a perspective that you can talk about, right? Like not trying to overstate and say, I've been doing this for 20, 30 years or this, I got these
Yeah.
certifications of this. It's like, nope, here's just what I've been doing. Here's the things that I have found that have worked. And this is it. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, okay. And
Hmm.
and that's really it. And I think that also kind of it improves your personal brand and that authenticity as well.
Yeah, and that's what people love. It's the authenticity. You know,
Yes, exactly.
obviously, it's like for fitness, it's how you look, but they don't want you to be a cookie cutter fitness person. They want you to be your true self, and people can tell through even if it's through a video.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I completely agree. It's that authenticity is huge. We can smell bullshit.
yeah, it's like human nature. It
Yeah,
really.
yeah, we can see that. So the last question you asked me was what made you get into the podcast world? So I don't know if
Mhm.
this is one that we can necessarily both answer, but
Yeah.
the short answer is basically I went to a it's kind of similar to probably your thinking behind starting your fitness journey
Mhm.
where I had some ideas in my head and I said, I'm just going to put it out there and open myself up to judgment. And I'm just going to do what I enjoy doing. And I'm just going to talk about what I enjoy talking about.
Mhm.
And I got inspired from a mastermind meeting that I went to in 2021, I believe it was, and basically said, all right, I'm just going to do a podcast. And I remember for like the first 10 episodes, I bought like a microphone and everything. And I had like Audacity out on like my laptop. And I
Yep.
thought my microphone, like if anybody wants to get like a good laugh, go listen to like the first like 20 episodes that I ever made of this podcast. And it's me thinking that I'm talking into the microphone, but the microphone was never actually properly hooked up. So it was me just just talking out loud and the laptop was happening to catch my voice. And so I mean it's a funny story that I could tell now, but I mean it's just what you said, Zay. It's literally just starting, right? It's just starting and you're going to think that you sound weird. You're going to think that the things you're doing aren't resonating with people. And it's merely just because we are in the beginning stages of learning how to get really good at these things,
Yeah.
right? And that along the way, it's that longevity and that consistency that's ultimately going to really turn this pursuit into something that is really impactful and help others as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And another thing, just to add on to that, it's that yeah, we were a little hesitant to start the podcast, to start the fitness page because we are worried about people liking it or not liking it. No matter what you do, there's always going to be people that like it, and there's always going to be
Mhm.
people that don't like it. But that's the whole thing. You just want to you really just want to reach the audience that likes what you're doing, that's going to keep following you because they enjoy your content, as opposed to the people that you shouldn't worry about the people that don't like your content
Mhm.
because they're not meant to be there. They're gonna go follow some other page. Like, I like Drake. I follow Drake, but I don't listen. I don't really listen to like Beyonce or anything. So I don't follow Beyonce. It's like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Not that I have it against Beyonce. I'm just saying.
Nothing against Beyonce, because I know
Yeah,
Beyonce's probably going to listen to this, and we don't want her coming after us,
you
right?
never know. No, I'm saying.
So, all right, Zay, I want to end with one question that I always love to get people's thoughts on.
Mhm.
What is one secret that you know that others don't that has helped you live a stronger life?
Oh my God, that's a good question. You got to give me a second. One secret that I know that others don't that's helped me gotten through life.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to tell you a secret.
Yeah, you got to tell me a secret because we're gonna broadcast it to the whole world now.
No, that's fine. It's got to be a good secret
Got to
then.
be a good secret.
Um, I would say a secret. Like I'm trying to think. Like it's not necessarily something that someone told me, like a secret that you don't want to tell me, like a gossip thing. But wow, this is. Can you give me an example of like one that someone like
So
along the
here's
lines of something?
so
Yeah,
if somebody asked me this question,
yeah. Let's start there.
if somebody asked me this question, I would say the majority of the people that I thought cared a ton about me and all the stuff that I put out in the world and were watching my every move are really not.
Mhm.
And that's not a knock on the people closest to me, or that's not on like my friends or like the following or anything. It's merely just if I put a video out there or if I make a claim, put a post out, people will absorb that in a very short time. And the odds of them continually judging me on that or continually thinking about whatever that post is probably going to be pretty low.
Mhm.
And that's helped me like let it rip when it comes to content because it's like, all right, they're really not judging me as much as I think that they are judging me.
Yeah.
Right. Like they're not thinking about me as much as I really think that they are thinking about me, because I think that's where a huge fear comes from is, all right, what do other people think about me? And that secret is they're really not thinking about you. Right. And
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing, right? It's just literally the way that we're as human beings, I think we think about our own safety and our own interest first, and then other people follow. Right.
Okay.
So that's at least my secret. One of the secrets I would say.
I guess I have a similar type of secret, I guess. So, when you're starting something like your podcast or your
Mhm.
fitness page, you want all your closest friends to support it, and genuinely support it, not
Mhm.
just support it because you asked them to or whatever you mentioned that you post something, but like
Mhm.
actually do a secret that I know, and I'm not taking shots at any of my closer friends, but I know some of them don't
Mhm.
really support it or care for it. And that doesn't really bother me. I think it actually helps me because it's almost like it almost like gives me fuel. Like like obviously we like positivity to give us
Mhm.
fuel to keep us motivated.
Yeah.
But I almost think in a way to me when someone that's that you care about kind of doesn't care about what you're doing, it just gives me the fuel to want to do better so that when I'm higher up than where I was when I started, and I'll be able to tell if they're faking it. Like, oh,
Mhm.
now that he has 10,000 followers, now I'm gonna like his stuff because he's
Mhm.
growing and I want to be a part of the circle. But no, I can see it and I know it's happening.
Mhm.
But I don't really care.
Yeah. No, and Zay, I completely agree with that, right? And it's not like their fault, it's not my fault, it's just what is,
Yeah.
right? And that's okay, right? It's not going to stop me from doing things.
Mhm.
And I actually remember when I built a website for Acres of Diamonds a very long time ago, and I sent it to like all of my buddies, like everybody who I thought would like enjoy the stuff. I'm like, hey, here's our website, like go check it out. And they were like, all right, great. And I remember like maybe 5, 10 days later, I looked at the website hits, and there were like 4 hits on the website. And I was like, none of them went to go see it. And that was like my first thing where it's like, even though you create something,
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to fill all of your friends' buckets.
Yeah.
And that's okay,
Mhm.
right? Maybe your friends aren't your target market, right? And that's okay,
Exactly.
right? Your friends are your friends, right? They don't necessarily have to be the people you're selling things to.
Exactly. I'm
Yeah.
glad you worded it that way because I mean, and that's why social media is such a powerful tool because anybody in the world can access your or have access to your content,
Yes. Yeah,
and it's extraordinary. So
it is.
yeah,
Well, Zay, thank you so much, man. This was
yeah.
this was
Thanks for having me.
fantastic. Absolutely great. Where can everybody see your shredded body and all your workouts? Where do you want to send them?
Let's just go to my Instagram, Zaysthetic Fitness, ZAYSTHETIC Fitness, FITNESS, and that's for Instagram. That's for TikTok. Same
Awesome.
name.
Awesome. And what I'll do is when we post this, I'll put that handle right in like the description if people want to follow you and go check you out. All right.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
All right, brother. Well, Zay, thank you so much for your time today, man. Truly, truly appreciate it. And keep kicking ass. Right.
Yeah,
Only way it doesn't work is if we stop, right?
exactly. And you too, man. I love what you're doing here. Keep at it.
Awesome. We'll do, brother.
All
Well,
right.
thank you everybody for tuning into today's episode of the Libraries and Weight Rooms podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation today with Zay Meaux, Meaux. That's not Meaux. And as always, if you guys liked the show, give it a rating, give it a review, share it. Go share this to all your friends who are unfit. All right. And they need to get fit and they need to go follow Zay. All right. And it's a very subtle way to tell them to get in the gym.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you guys as always. And until next time, go do hard things, go participate in challenge mental fitness and physical fitness. And we will talk to you guys soon. We'll see you.